For those on the ground, war was already hell. But for those who faced the enemy in the sky, there was something even worse than enemy fighters or long, exhausting missions. There was an invisible, relentless, deafening enemy. One that didn't chase you, it simply waited. And when it struck, it turned the air itself into a minefield. That enemy had a technical and terrifying name: anti-aircraft artillery, or simply AAA. The fear began even before the first shot was fired. Veteran pilots recalled that as they approached heavily defended areas, their stomachs tightened. There was no way to dodge, no way to predict. Unlike an aerial dogfight, anti-aircraft artillery made no human mistakes. It didn't hesitate, it exploded. Suddenly the sky filled with black clouds. Explosions erupted around the aircraft, shaking it as if it were made of paper. Each blast sent thousands of metal fragments flying at extreme speed, capable of ripping through wings, piercing engines, and killing entire crews instantly. Many pilots said the sound of AAA was worse than the sight itself, a sharp, repetitive, constant thunder, as if the sky itself was trying to destroy you. Anti-aircraft artillery was not designed only to shoot down airplanes. It had an equally important mission: to break the enemy's will. Flying through AAA fire meant knowing death could come without warning, without combat, without any chance to fight back. You only had to be in the wrong place, at the wrong altitude, at the wrong second. The destructive power of these guns was brutal. A single direct hit was enough to obliterate a medium-sized aircraft. But most of the time, a direct hit wasn't even necessary. A single fragment striking an engine, fuel tank, or cockpit could seal the aircraft's fate. Many planes returned to base riddled with holes, flying miracles. Others simply vanished from the sky. Anti-aircraft artillery began to gain importance during World War I, when aircraft evolved from simple observers into true weapons of war. At first, the systems were improvised, adapted guns firing at slow, fragile targets, but the evolution was rapid. By the time World War II began, AAA had become an exact science. Nazi Germany became a world reference in air defense. Entire cities were surrounded by anti-aircraft artillery batteries. Factories, industrial centers, railways, and military bases were protected like invisible fortresses. The most famous of these weapons was the 88mm anti-aircraft gun, a weapon so effective it became legendary. It could reach aircraft at high altitudes and, ironically, was also devastating against tanks in ground combat. The 88mm gun did more than shoot down aircraft. It redefined versatility on the battlefield. Its accuracy, range, and firepower made it one of the most feared weapons of the war. Allied pilots quickly learned to recognize the characteristic bursts of this anti-aircraft artillery. When they saw those black clouds in the sky, they knew they were entering a killing zone. But anti-aircraft artillery was not used only by Germany. All major powers developed their own air defense systems. The British, the Americans, the Soviets, everyone understood that controlling the skies also meant making them deadly for the enemy. Cities like London, Berlin, and Moscow became forests of guns pointing upward. Air defense worked as a network. Ground observers, early radar systems, ballistic calculations, and coordinated batteries created true curtains of fire. Shots were not fired randomly. Every round from the anti-aircraft artillery was calculated to explode at the precise altitude where enemy bombers would pass. And when that coordination worked, the results were devastating. Entire bomber formations were disrupted. Aircraft collided while trying to evade explosions. Missions were aborted. Crews panicked. Many pilots said they would rather face enemy fighters than fly through heavy anti-aircraft artillery fire. The psychological impact was so severe that some crews developed serious stress symptoms simply from hearing the sound of anti-aircraft artillery explosions. Tremors, loss of focus, silent panic. Anti-aircraft artillery didn't need to score hits to win. It only had to be there, firing, reminding everyone that the sky showed no mercy. As the war progressed, anti-aircraft artillery guns became larger, faster, and more precise. Automatic systems emerged, rates of fire increased, the sky grew ever more hostile. Every bombing mission became a wager against cold statistics: how many aircraft would take off and how many would return. After World War II, anti-aircraft artillery gradually gave way to guided missile systems. Technology changed, but the legacy of AAA remained. It was one of the weapons that most shaped modern aerial warfare. It forced changes in strategy, altitude, formations, and even aircraft design.
Today, many of these guns rest in museums, silent and motionless. But at their peak, anti-aircraft artillery turned the sky into one of the deadliest places in human history. For those who faced it, anti-aircraft artillery was not just a weapon, it was the sound of death echoing above the clouds. And though forgotten by many, anti-aircraft artillery remains a symbol of an era when the sky ceased to be a refuge and became a battlefield. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most feared weapons of aerial warfare, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you believe anti-aircraft artillery was more terrifying than enemy fighter planes? If you're interested in military history, forgotten weapons, and the stories behind the machines that shaped modern warfare, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video, it helps the channel reach more history enthusiasts, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future documentaries. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.